Hey guys, welcome back to the Fulco. It's really nice to be making one of these videos on the morning after a Tottenham Hotspur victory, which hasn't been a very common thing recently. So going to dive into the Hoffenheim game away in the Europa League last night. Obviously Tottenham coming out with a 3-2 victory. We should obviously start by caveating everything we're going to say by the incredible injury crisis, the lack of players that were available, the amount of minutes that have gone through the legs of the players that are available, and of course we can't forget the lack of squad management that's happened over the last couple of seasons, which has left us in a situation where we haven't been able to register based on homegrown and club trained players. We haven't been able to register the number of players that we would like to. We weren't able to have Jed Spence with us, which would have definitely made a difference, and you feel he would have featured in this game. Reguilon as well is not registered for the squad, so as he was expected to be sold, so he wasn't available. So on top of all of the injuries and all of the issues we've got, the poor squad management has left us in a position where another two players were unavailable to us last night. And as ever with Tottenham, it's one step forward, two steps back. So when you've got Bentancur coming back into the side, which is a huge positive for us, you find out that two other players are not eligible to play. So, typical Tottenham things. But anyway, that being said, we got the result, and for me that's bottom line. Sometimes it's about performances. You really want to see performances, and you want to see things that are being worked on at the minute, given where the team is and given where our playing staff are. It's really just about results, particularly in the cups. Just keep getting those victories, keep getting over the line, and we desperately want to avoid those extra two games in February. So we'll go straight into it. The Maddison goal right at the beginning, early on in the game, in the first 5 minutes, gets us off to a great start. It's exactly what we needed, and it was a very maybe un-Ange Postecoglou goal, but it doesn't matter because it was delivered with quality. It was a deeper runner, so one of the midfielders in terms of Maddison making that deep run, getting right up against the centre half, putting his hand up. Porro gets the ball, and we've done this a couple of times recently where Porro's delivered a ball here. He delivered the one over the top to Solanke in the Liverpool game for the Berrival goal, and it's delivered with quality. So no matter what we say about Pedro Porro from a defensive aspect, and there's plenty we could say in this game as well, he is a fantastic technician. He is a very good footballer, and I learned this week that he was a striker when he was a kid, and so he kind of came through the ranks as a striker, as a lot of top level players do. Actually, they start out by being the best in terms of attacking talent or technical talent, and then they filter backwards as they move up the ranks, and better players and other players are around them. So that's a really common story, but you can see it in Porro. He's a technical footballer. He's a wonderful deliverer of a ball, and yeah, he puts a pinpoint pass over the top of the two centre halves. The one centre half who's deepest gets the flight all wrong. Maddison gets on his inside, and the first touch is lovely. It's maybe, I think Maddison maybe wanted to bring it down in front of him so he could take an early snapshot, but what he manages to do is catch it on the outside of his foot, which takes it away, and it opens up the angle because there's no defender on that side. So again, whether intentional or whether not doesn't really matter. It's a beautiful take from a difficult ball coming over his shoulder, and then he dispatches it brilliantly. He kind of whips it in at a height and an angle that's really difficult for the goalkeeper to react to and to get a hand out to. So lovely first goal, settles the nerves to a certain extent, and allows us to build into the game. And I thought we were very good for a decent period of time. We had Richarlison chance early on, which I think Decky played a little overlapping ball. He played the ball to an overlapping run from Richie, who for me did the right thing. He took it first time. I think if he's fit and he's played 5 games, he catches that a bit sweeter, and maybe the save from the goalkeeper gets palmed out a little bit and someone can snaffle up the rebound. Then we had a really nice chance where it's actually Pedro Porro crosses and gets across into the centre forward position. Defender dives in and tries to cut out a pass across, doesn't get it, and the first touch from Porro is really good, but it puts him on his left foot, and he tries to stroke it inside the right hand post, and he just gets it wrong. But again, nice move. We're creating chances. Yes, Porro could have done better, but it's good to be making those chances. Then we've got the second goal, and again at this point this is exactly what we needed, to kind of capitalise on that dominance and the chances we were creating. Maddison again is brilliant, and he's instrumental in this one. He charges up the pitch after a bit of indecision by the Hoffenheim defenders, nicks the ball, drives forward, then has the awareness to cut back inside, which is something he did really well all game. He actually started the game doing a few chops and cuts and got dispossessed by a couple of players, and you just wondered whether that would affect his confidence and whether he'd keep doing it. But he showed that leadership in terms of he did keep doing it, and he was really, really good getting out on that left-hand side and taking players on the edge of the box, and committing them. And he did it again for the second goal. So he chops it back, and then with his left foot plays a good ball. You could argue maybe lift the ball so it goes straight into Sonny's path, but he's tried to play it in so Sonny can take it. It'll be at foot level when it arrives at him. Defender gets a piece of it, which lofts it up in the air. And at that point, when Sonny takes it on his chest, I was concerned that the chance maybe had gone, because he doesn't quite pop it forward to himself, or it doesn't pop it straight down so it's on his toes and he can run forward. And I was just worried that, spin on the ball had made that difficult, but he still chests it, gets it out of his feet onto his left foot, and then he gets a break. He gets a bit of luck. He takes the shot, the defender comes sliding in, and it I think it just ricochets in between the defender's legs. That takes it up and over the goalkeeper, and no more than he deserved. Sonny was doing what he could with the resources I think that he has available at the moment, and in a game where Maddison and Son really did step forward and take their leadership roles in terms of the way they performed on the pitch, I think he deserved that. And again, to all the people that were losing their minds over Mikey Moore not starting the game, and Son should be dropped and he shouldn't play again, all of these things have a lovely habit of coming around and slapping you in the face if you are to say these kind of hyperbolic things. Son is still a fantastic player. He's still a fantastic technician. He may not be as explosive as he was a few years ago. That's completely natural. But he's been absolutely run into the ground. He's got very few reserves left, and he's low on confidence, and yet he still comes out in a game like this and he performs the way that he did. So he deserves huge credit. And it should be mentioned that Mikey Moore is having his minutes managed after a huge long layoff with a virus. So I said this on X. You can't have it both ways. You can't be screaming for, throw Richarlison in for 90, throw Mikey Moore on for 90, get Son out the team, but then complaining when the manager does take a risk on players, and then Van de Ven and Romero get injured again very quickly because they came back too soon. So you can't pick and choose. You can't have it both ways. They are trying to be careful. They're trying to manage the minutes of these players coming back in, which they need to do. But that necessarily means that more minutes are going into the players that are playing. So happy for Son, happy that he got his goal, and hopefully a bit of a turn the corner and a bit of confidence for him. Then we had some good stuff from Brandon Austin. There was a little period where Hoffenheim started to get back into it in the first half. They had a few chances, and certainly I think if they were a better team, we might have been punished for it, but they're not. And there was a really good save, kind of low down to his right hand side, that the player tries to kind of side foot it into the net from just beyond the penalty spot, and Austin does really well. He gets down really quick, stops it, gets up, gets the second ball as well. So delighted for him. I thought he had a good performance overall. Then we had another chance, and this should have been a goal, and this is an area that Berryvale I think can definitely improve and be a real threat from, slightly Ronaldo, as in CR7 Ronaldo-esque. He's an athletic boy, he's a tall boy, and he does get his head to things. He's not afraid to put his head on the ball. I think he can improve that aspect, and I think from an attacking perspective he will get a few goals this way. Maddison swings in a beautiful delivery, so well done to him again, and gives everybody a chance. Berryvale, maybe closes his eyes, maybe takes his eyes off it, but he should be scoring. He should be scoring at the near post, and he should just be punching that straight inside the near post at kind of the height that he was heading it, so the keeper has no chance of getting there. We didn't take our chance, and then as we moved on and then moved into the second half, you could see that Hoffenheim came out with the mentality that you come out with when you're 2-0 down. You've got nothing to lose right now, and your manager's just had 15 minutes to either tactically have a go at you or get the hairdryer out. And they came out and they showed a lot of purpose. We certainly looked like we were running on fumes. We weren't able to press. We were sitting a bit deeper, which was a very deliberate tactic, I feel. But when you're not able to get out, when you're not able to hold on to the ball and hold possession and just take the sting out of the game, it's very, very difficult, and you are going to then invite continuous pressure. So I think Kramaric at the back post is the warning shot for us that we didn't heed. He manages to loop a header from a decent delivery, but we don't stop the delivery coming in, or we don't do enough to hamper that delivery. And again, we've got an overload at the back post. Kramaric rises and he loops one back that comes off the angle of crossbar and post. Then we had the moment with Brandon Austin. Again, he deserves a huge amount of credit. So that, despite wrongly being given as a penalty and him getting a yellow card for it, was an absolutely wonderful save, because again, the ball is played in and the striker is coming in, and he's on the wrong side. I think it's a Dragushin. He gets on the wrong side, and he has got a header into effectively an open net from that range. I don't think Austin can do much if he stays on his line. He doesn't. He's proactive. He comes out and he actually tips the ball up, so he doesn't come out to punch, which may well have been given as a penalty. He comes to try and tip it up and over the striker, which is excellent. It's an excellent awareness of the situation that's going on behind him, and he's reaching for it, and he feels, right, fingertips is what I've got to get to this. And he does a brilliant job, because he tips it up and onto the top of the player's forehead, who then heads it over the bar. It is a fantastic save. It shouldn't be underestimated. Good foot movement, quick, agile, great reach, and affects it in a positive manner. Using that flip to try and get it up and over the defender leads to that being a goal kick. Wrongly given as a penalty. The referee either couldn't hear his mic, or he was just, on the payroll and desperate to give a penalty. I don't really know what happened in that situation, but he's rushing to make his decision on field and then get the penalty taken, whereas the VAR check hadn't finished. Thankfully, just before the player stepped up and took a penalty and everyone got embarrassed and they kind of let it go, they managed to call the referee's attention to it, sent him to the screen. You could very clearly see what a good save it was. So, right decision, reverses the penalty, takes away the yellow card. That slightly awkward moment where Austin thinks the referee's offering a hand to apologise for his decision, which he isn't, because he's just reaching for the ball. No problem with that. That's funny, and we get our just rewards from a great bit of play by our goalkeeper. So well done again to Brandon Austin, because he's come in and he's really done well in this game again. So well done to him. We then obviously do concede a very poor goal. It comes from an area where we struggle. It's that kind of area on our right hand side, the left hand side for the attacking team, and a very easy ball across the box. And again, we've got a bit of a sore tooth in our defensive line, to be expected with the players that are out there on tired legs, and just a little touch is enough to kind of take it in and inside the far post. Could argue maybe Austin could be a bit braver and come out and smash everything in front and try and get to that ball. I wouldn't be too harsh on the goalkeeper in that situation. It was a ball flashed across. We've got to do better at stopping teams getting into that position, putting more pressure on before we get to that position, and then we've got to do a lot better in stopping that ball coming across the box. So they get a goal back, and all of a sudden, it's one of those things that this team could have crumpled, because we were under huge amounts of pressure. There were waves and waves and lots of chances, and they were taking shots from all over the place, which for me anyway slightly skewed the statistics of the game. They had over 20 shots. I don't think we reached double figures, but for me it didn't it didn't really tell the story. There was definitely a period of 15-20 minutes of them really being on it and really pushing us back, but to a greater or lesser extent we did okay. It was more from a couple of moments that we could have done so much better, and we'll talk about their second goal in a minute. But yeah, these are continuous themes that cause us issues, overloads up against the fullbacks, particularly on Porro's side. These are things that need to be, addressed, and the fact that we're so narrow in terms of our shape when other teams are on the attack or they're counter-attacking, that there's loads of time and space to deliver balls, and it is really affecting us. So we need to do better with that. We need to find solutions for that. But before we come on to their second goal, let's again put some flowers on Heung-min Son's name, because a classic Sonny goal. He manages to get 1v1 versus the defender, kind of around the, just outside the near post area, the line, and you know what he's going to do. You can see it coming. It's the right foot step over to unleash on his left foot, because he's so good and he's so technically gifted. He executes. The little step over is done at pace, and do not underestimate how hard that stuff is to do on the move. He does it. It pins the defender. He gets the half, the half yard he needs, and then he puts the finish inside the far post with his left foot. And again, another left-footed goal. The man is incredible. So again, even though people probably screaming for him to come off or screaming for him not to start or whatever you want to say, he has been decisive in this game. His goals have been decisive. So you've got to credit that, and you've got to give respect where it's due. So well done to him for that. They obviously make it tense for us. It wouldn't be Tottenham if we didn't make it difficult for ourselves. So again, we don't do enough to stop a ball from the right hand side. The ball comes across, and it's just too easy for the player to get in between the fullback slot and the centre half, and again there's an overload on that side, I think, at the time as well. So there are a couple of players who can affect that play, and it's a header. It's an easy header. You can definitely attribute that to a certain extent to the tiredness in the legs, but it's a theme that we've seen even when we've got arguably our stronger team out. So it's definitely something we want to see addressed. We make it difficult for ourselves. We have to defend for our lives for the rest of the game, but we get there. We get over the line, and that is something that we can't say for Tottenham recently. So credit to Maddison for being, he had a really strong game. Credit to Sonny for being decisive in this game. Credit to the young players. Brandon Austin we've talked about for only his second full start and his first in Europe. Credit to Berrival again, he was very good. Archie Gray again, he was very good. I was slightly concerned with Archie Gray at the end. He did really well to kind of try and get out of a press. There were kind of 3 Hoffenheim players around him pressing. He manages to come away with the ball, but then slightly overruns it, throws himself into a tackle. It looked painful. It's the kind of tackle that when you are really, really tired, your ankle is not set, you're going into things, and I really, really hope there's no ill effect from that, but we'll know when we hear the team news for Leicester, because we can't afford to lose him. Mikey Moore did okay when he came on. I think his first action, actually, he tried to cut inside and gave the ball away, but largely speaking, again, he looks like a confident boy. He did some nice bits and pieces, cutting in and switching play. Again, build him up. As I said, his minutes are being managed. We have to understand that. We have to use him wisely so we don't lose him, and then we can use him more and more as the season goes on. Callum Olasese came on. Good for him. Absolutely wonderful. He's looked like a real talent in the youth setup. Can he get some minutes, get some experience, and maybe even have some impact like some of the young players that we've brought in are having? It's wonderful for him. It's a wonderful night for him and his family and everyone around him, and the academy as well. So well done to him. And yeah, on a night where Spurs couldn't even name a full bench, I think you're allowed 12 players on your bench. in the Europa League, and we couldn't even name 12. I think we had 8 players, all teenagers or goalkeepers, and that just goes to show where we are. So huge credit to everyone. Ben Davis, again, well done. Ben coming straight back into it, and he looked excellent. Richie, again, deserves a bit of credit. So overall, coming away from that, even though it was tight, even though it was nervy, even though you're getting frustrated with the goals we concede and how difficult we make it for ourselves, my feeling coming away from it was net positive. I felt good about what was done with what we've got available, and with the fact that the club seemingly are not willing to back the manager. And it's not necessarily with signings for the Europa League, because we can't do anything at this moment. We've still got another game before we can change any registrations for the Europa League and do anything at all. It's more to do with having them available in the league and the domestic cups to then rotate in the Europa League, etc. That's more where I'm coming at it from. But yeah, just with what we had available, and with the age and the inexperience of those players, well done to all of them, and well done to the coaching staff, and staying true to what they believe and the way they want to play. I think that was a good performance in terms of going away from home in Europe and getting a victory, which is incredibly difficult. It doesn't matter where you go in Europe. Hoffenheim might be having a really hard season, but Tottenham Hotspur are having a really hard season. So, there's 2 teams that are struggling facing off in the Europa League. It's 2 teams that were good enough last year to get into Europe. So regardless of what, the negativity around, and there's plenty that could be better and could be improved and worked on, I came away from that feeling fairly positive. And so we move on. We've got Leicester in short order on the weekend. Let's see who we've got available. The other one I should mention, because I always get out of this video and then remember something I wanted to say. Bentancur, he wasn't perfect. His distribution at times, he looked a bit off, but defensively, the amount of times he nicked in really, really key, particularly in the first half, really, really key moments, and just took the ball off someone's toes, in and around the box, on the edge of the box, or deep in midfield, deserves a shout out. I definitely think he's our best 6 in inverted commas, and if you can get a run of games and build up some momentum, I think he can really be an important player for us. So credit to the whole team, credit to everyone really, and we move on. Let's see what we can do on the weekend. And yeah, keep your eyes out. Hopefully I'm going to be doing another video very soon about if you gave me the keys to Spurs, what would I do with our current playing staff? So with the players we have available, not FIFA or Championship Manager, bring in whoever you want. This is with who we've got. What would I do with it from a coaching perspective? So keep your eyes out for that. Thanks everyone. Have a great end to your week. Let's go and get Leicester and come on Tottenham.